Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Robinson again, and we're going to continue our studies. This time we're talking about assigning integers to situations. So, integers, remember, they are negative numbers, non negative numbers, which are including zero, and positive numbers that may or may not have a plus sign with them. Positive numbers, I mentioned, and zero all by itself. All right, so those are examples of integers. I'm going to ask you about your homework, so I hope you completed it. So, here's something you should know about the mountain. You will see the term the summit elevation of a volcano. So, usually, when they're talking about the summit elevation of a volcano, we're talking about the elevation of the top of the volcano relative to the sea level. So, the summation is how tall it is from the summit is how tall it is from the sea level, which we would call zero, up to the top of the mountain. So that's what we mean by summit. Sea level is at zero, and you can go below sea level, which is negative numbers, would be how you would read that. So you'll see some questions that deal with volcanoes, such as this one. The summit elevation of a volcano is elevation of a top of volcano relative to sea level, as I mentioned. The summit elevation of Kilauea, a volcano in Hawaii, is 1,277 meters. The summit elevation of Lohi, an underwater volcano, yes, underwater, you can have volcanoes that are submerged underneath, is negative 969 meters. So, which summit is higher? Well, if we take the absolute value of both of these numbers, we can find out the distance it is from sea level. Is the sea level down here, which would be zero. So the distance from here, the top to the bottom of Kilauea, that would be 1,277 meters. Now the underground Lohi uh, volcano, that would be a distance of negative absolute value of negative 600 969 meters. So the distance from there to the sea level, because it's underneath, would be just 969 because it's underneath the water. But absolute value just deals with how distant it is from zero. So that would be 969 meters. So which one is higher? Well, of course, the larger number would be higher because it has the higher absolute value. So Kilauea's summit is higher. Here's another question. Same thing, but which summit is closer to sea level? So which one of these would be closer to sea level? Well, we took the absolute value of both of these numbers. The smaller number would be closer to zero, so Lohi would be closer to sea level because it's less farther to get to the sea level, 969 meters, whereas Kilauea is 1,277 meters. So it's absolute value. So I hope you understand what's going on so far. Vote your choice. So if not, if you're not sure, rewatch the video and let me know how's it going if you write down your questions. Next thing we'll talk about is temperature. So we have some water on our thermometer here is how we measure temperature. We have this guy in an ice cube here freezing his pants off. There's the sun cooling out. So temperature, now I notice 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and you got a pot of water boiling, so that's the boiling point of water, if you know a little chemistry there. Um, and down here, negative 32 degrees Fahrenheit, that's this guy down here, he's freezing cold, so that's the freezing point of water. So the rain is freezing into icicle drops. So we're going to talk about temperature now and how that relates to integers. So the freezing point of liquids and the temperature is the temperatures in which the liquid becomes a solid. Which liquid on the table has the lowest freezing point? Well, if you remember from the previous slide, when we get down here into the negative zone, that's freezing and cold. Where you go up past zero, that gets hot and up to boiling. So we want the lowest temperature. So if we look at it, and the 0 degrees Celsius is what they're talking about. So this is really, really cold, negative 53. And that's liquid would be airplane fuel. So that freezes at negative 53 degrees uh, Celsius. So the biggest negative number integer would be the one that is the um, lowest freezing. So if you said airplane fuel, you were correct. Here's another question. Is the freezing point of mercury or butter closer to the freezing point of water? Well, the freezing point of water is 0 degrees Celsius, and we mentioned that negative 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So those are two measures that you should keep in mind. But we're talking about mercury. Mercury is negative 39 degrees uh, Celsius. If we took the absolute value of that, that'd be 39 degrees uh, or 39 units away from zero. So that's close. But butter is 35. And if we took the absolute value of 35 degrees Celsius, that would be just 35. Well, 35 is closer to zero than 39. So if you said butter, you're correct. So butter has a absolute value of 35, which is degrees from zero. Mercury had negative 39, which was absolute value of 39 degrees away from zero. So butter is closer to zero. All right, so let's dig a little bit deeper. So you want to use your table below to record the temperature at the same location each hour of several hours. At what time is the temperature the coldest? So that's one I think you should be able to figure out by looking at your time elements there. And if you remember what we said about the coldest degree, here's your temperatures down here in Celsius. So hopefully you should be able to figure out what time would be the coldest. So I'll leave that for you. And just look at your degrees down here. So remember, coldest. So here's another question. At what time the temperature is closest to the freezing point of the water, which is 0 degrees Celsius? So if we look at our temperatures, which one's the closest to 0 degrees Celsius? So that's another problem. So I hope you understand what's going on. And if you're not sure, write down your questions, bring them in, and I'll be glad to go over it in class. So here's a video I plan on showing you. Hopefully you saw it. Good video. Okay, so I'm not going to show it now. So let's pause that and keep going. Here's a good question I took from the state test. So hopefully you'll be able to figure out which expression can be used to represent the situation, the temperature decreased, and hopefully you'll know what decrease means by 12 degrees. If the original temperature is 12 degrees Celsius, so which expression can represent that situation. So in 1 minute, I would like you to write down what was the most important thing from today's lesson. And if you need help with your homework, there's Dial the Teacher Homework Helpline at 212-777-3380 from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Thursday. Watch Dr. Rob's YouTube study videos. My channel name is Dan Robinson. Subscribe to our channel. Hopefully, we'll get to 1,000 viewers soon, subscribers soon. So help us out by telling your friends, neighbors, and relatives that Dan Robinson has a YouTube channel and is trying to help out his students. So give us a thumbs up, write us a comment, let us know how we're doing. Um, Check out our latest release. We have a nice commercial called PKMS Math Prep 20. We're looking for a release date soon. So check out the commercial we have on it. You could tweet me at drobmath1, and I'll be glad to hear from you. Check out our show Math Time on Tuesdays on Optimum Cablevision and only in Peekskill from 4:30 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Tuesdays. Optimum Cablevision on channel 15. So I hope you enjoyed integers, assigning integers to situations, and please make sure you visit my channel. This is Dr. Robinson signing off. Bye bye.